Hello, everyone. We're thrilled to welcome you at the MindsDB and Vettabase joint webinar. My name is Stacy. I represent Vettabase Marketing. Our today's topic is AI-powered forecasting with MySQL and MindsDB. At the webinar, we'll discuss how MySQL users can leverage MindsDB features without a data scientist using only SQL inquiries. Today we have two speakers, Martina Slawinska, the technical writer from MindsDB, and Federica Razzoli, the company founder and database consultant from Vettabase. Both Martina and Federica have strong background as database administrators, so hopefully they will speak your language, as many of you are DBAs. Just a few housekeeping notes before we start. Please ask questions in the corresponding tab of the interface. Our speakers will answer them after the presentation is over. I will read the questions aloud for them, and the recording will be sent your way after the webinar. You will be able to revisit what's important for you, and same for the slides. We will also make them public for your convenience. And now I will ask Federica to take the stage and start the event.
Hi, everyone. Federico here. And as Stacy said, I am Vettabase founder. And I'm trying to share my screen right now. So please let me know if it works. You should see it in a moment. At Vettabase, we are a database consulting company, and we are very happy that last year we started this partnership with MindsDB. And what is the relation between databases and MindsDB? Well, if you can't imagine it, you will find out in some minutes. So let me start to talk about what MindsDB is, but Martina will explain this much better than I, but also why I think it is so important and so good. Artificial intelligence is useful for most companies nowadays, right? Examples of predictions that you can ask machine learning are, for example, future sales or costs of providing a service or cost of your IT infrastructure. Well, we do databases and we know that they can be expensive. Usage of your website and app, so I mean the user's behavior, but also the workload, natural disasters or whatever. And actually in the first point, I also specified that you might ask for predictions about the future, but also, for example, how many sales you would have if you had a stores with certain characteristics. So, because in general, you ask predictions about missing data, which usually is the future, but not necessarily. But implementing machine learning is not easy. And it's not for everyone, unfortunately. So steps are approximately the following. Well, I'm not the best person to talk about how machine learning models are developed, but I'm pretty sure these are actually the steps. And basically, you start by identifying the problem, and you have to understand the data that you are going to use. And you have to prepare this data. And this is a single point, but as I'm going to show in a moment, it's actually very complex. And then you have to train your model, evaluate how good it is, and then you start to use it in the real world. And actually, you will see if it works in the real world for day-to-day operations. And then you might have to repeat all the steps or some of them. As I mentioned, step 3 was preparing data, but it actually consists of a lot of sub-steps. For example, first of all, you have to extract data from the source, which could be a database or a remote API, a data warehouse, or maybe not just one resource, but more of them. Anyway, then you have to cleanse data, usually, which means eliminating incorrect data or outliers or other stuff. You will aggregate data with averages or whatever you need. You will label the data and you will transform the data in a way that they are usable and understandable. Which people or how many people will you need to do all this? Well, at the minimum, you will need data engineers to make the original data available. So moving data from the place where they are located now and make them available to you. Well, to you, if you are a data scientist, actually, because this is the next type of person which is needed to develop ML models. So they will create the model itself, they will train it and test it. And of course, there must be some marketing people because they understand the data and need to see some predictions about the future, right? Well, this sounds rather complex, and the beautiful thing here is that MindsDB simplifies it enormously. Because if you use MindsDB, well, this is the process. First of all, you need to connect it to external data sources, which are called integrations. Here is a list, but these are just examples. Most databases are supported. Some Apache technologies for big data and several APIs are supported. Again, here you can see a nice list, but there are more. Then you will run queries about the future or some kind of missing data. And well, you can see it here, right? I mean, this is a fantasy example, but you can basically ask rows with date greater than the current date. Okay, and if you do it in MySQL, it will just answer 0 rows, right? Because there is no future data. But if you do it in MindsDB, MindsDB will predict the missing data, and will do this using what they call AI engines. And several AI engines are available to do this. Again, these are just some examples. There are more. As you can see, some of them are remote APIs. Some might require you to have an account in some external service. But anyway, the good thing is that you can use them if you want. Otherwise, you can just use probably the simplest option is the default AI engine, which is Lightwood, which is a Python module. Now, you might ask, why to use SQL to do this? Well, I think that first of all, SQL is the easiest computer language to read and to write, right? Because well, when you write it, you have to remember just a few simple rules, and when you read it, you don't even need to know SQL. It's just English. Well, of course, complex queries are a bit more complicated than a simple English phrase, but still, it's a very simple language. And it's been around for a lot of time, from the 70s. So it's battle tested, and it's well known by people. And it's still evolving, actually. Advanced functionalities are being added from time to time. And then, well, it is a lingua franca, which means that most data analysts or a lot of, I don't know, data scientists, managers, or whatever, a lot of them know SQL. And it's also a lingua franca for programs because, it's used by basically all relational databases and even several non-relational databases. Okay, so it's basically the default choice when it comes to data. If you compare it with, for example, MongoDB language, well, I don't have any interest in trash talking MongoDB. I don't want to do that. If you like it, use it. But the language itself is much more complicated than SQL. Maybe writing it is not super complicated, but when you have to read it, you might have a headache, honestly. And it's used by only MongoDB. It's not used by any other technology. Okay, so every time you use an alternative data language, it's used by a single technology, and that's the main problem. Okay, so this was the last slide for now, and I want to leave the word to Martina.
Well, thank you for having me, Federico, Stacy. I'm Martina from MindsDB, and I'm going to present to you what is MindsDB, how to use it, and also how to make forecasts with MindsDB using data from MySQL and TimeGPT as an AI engine. So let me start by sharing my screen. Okay. You should be able to see the slides now.
Yes, and they are displayed okay.
Okay, thank you. So we start with introduction to MindsDB, then we'll move on to a live demo, and then there will be a Q&A session at the end, as far as I know. So let's start with what is MindsDB. Well, MindsDB is a platform that bridges the gap between data and AI. MindsDB enhances SQL syntax with AI building blocks, which you will see on the following slides. And at the same time, it facilitates creation of AI-powered applications that use real-time and dynamic data. So let's introduce a few concepts that are important. So one of them are AI tables. AI tables are abstraction of AI models. So you can use any of the popular AI frameworks like OpenAI or models from Hugging Face Hub or Nixla or anything else. We have at the moment about 40 integrations to different AI frameworks. And you can turn this AI framework into an AI model abstracted as a standard database table. The way these AI tables differ from standard database table is that AI tables do not store any data, but they generate data upon being queried, and the data is generated from the underlying model, which you will see in the following slides. So it is very convenient to have an AI model abstracted as an AI table, as you can simply use the select statement to query for forecasts or predictions. You can join it with other data tables to provide input data, also fine-tune it, retrain it, and more. Another concept is data sources. So these are the integrations mentioned earlier by Federico. we integrate with numerous databases, relational, non-relational, also applications such as Gmail or Slack, and vector stores, data warehouses, and more. You can find a comprehensive list of all data integrations in our documentation. So we use these data sources. Upon connecting a data source to MindsDB, MindsDB can access your data and use it to train AI models or make forecasts or predictions. And another concept is the concept of jobs. MindsDB created custom syntax, SQL syntax, that is used to create jobs to automate tasks by scheduling periodical execution of queries or using some triggering events. So you can use jobs to, if you have real-time or dynamic data, means your data is updated every month or maybe every hour or every minute, you want your AI model to be trained on the latest data to be the most accurate it can be. And this is one of the ways you can use jobs. You can set up a job that fine-tunes or retrains your model using the latest data. These jobs enable you to automate also the entire workflow of making predictions and forecasts, like you can see on this picture. So with MindsDB, you can easily connect any store of data, then pass this real-time data to an AI model that is created on one of the AI frameworks available in MindsDB. Then from there, we get predictions or forecasts, which are passed back to another data source. So example of an AI workflow could be that you connected your Gmail to MindsDB and you fetch your emails in real time. So as the email comes, it is being fetched by MindsDB, accessed by MindsDB. Then you can use, for example, OpenAI model that will detect spam emails or summarize emails, and then complete the workflow by sending notifications to Slack or any other chat app. Of course, you can customize the workflows according to your needs and automate it with the jobs feature. So that's pretty much briefly about what is MindsDB. I'll mention about the benefits of MindsDB, means how what benefit it brings as compared to traditional ways of bringing together data and AI. So one of the benefits is unified AI deployment and management. So because MindsDB brings together data sources and AI frameworks, you do not have to create any complex data pipelines or separate systems for deployment, because everything starting from creating and deploying and training a model up to fetching your predictions into end user data stores or applications, all this can be done using SQL syntax provided by MindsDB. Another benefit is automated workflows, which I elaborated on quite a bit already. So you can schedule the execution of queries to execute queries on time-based or event-based triggers. So this eliminates the need to create custom automation logic. Another benefit is that MindsDB can turn any developer into an AI engineer, because to create AI-powered apps with MindsDB, what you leverage is your existing knowledge of SQL. And finally, MindsDB provides also enhanced scalability and performance to meet the demands of your use case. Let's look at a simple example, how you can enrich your data with large language models and MindsDB. So this is our input data. We've got a table that stores Amazon reviews, and its columns are product name and a review. And we want to add a third column that is going to store sentiment for each of the reviews. And for that, we are going to create an AI table using the custom create model statement. So we create a model, we call it sentiment classifier. Then the predict clause defines the column name where the prediction of the model will be stored. Finally, in the using clause, we provide parameters which are specific for which may be different for different AI engines. Here we use engine as OpenAI. So this engine requires us to provide prompt template, which is a message to the model. So here we ask the model to describe the sentiment of reviews strictly as positive, neutral, or negative. It is a good custom in prompt templating to add some examples. So here we say that this is a positive review and that is a negative review. And at the end, we add a review variable within double curly braces. So this review variable is going to be replaced by the value from the review column upon joining this AI table with our input data table. So that's all we need to get started. Our input data table and our AI table that has an underlying model. Here it is OpenAI. Now we can take our input data table and join it with the model. So here the join statement is also custom created by MindsDB. As you may notice, it does not require the on clause, which is implemented implicitly here. So what is required that the input data table has a column name that is required by the model. So here from the prompt template, you can see the model requires the review column. And the review column is present in our input data table. So this join will succeed. So then we are selecting the product name and review from our input data table. And the sentiment is selected from the model. And that's how we can enrich our data using large language models in MindsDB with 3 simple comments. So stay tuned for the demo. During the demo, we'll use time series models to make forecasts. And meanwhile, I'll briefly mention about architecture of MindsDB. So MindsDB has a data layer and an AI layer. So as I mentioned, MindsDB can connect to different data sources, including databases, vector stores, applications. At the moment, we provide over 150 data integrations, which you can connect to MindsDB and use your data to train models and make predictions. On the other hand, we've got the so-called AI engines. Here, MindsDB integrates with numerous popular AI frameworks, and using those AI frameworks, you can create AI tables that abstract AI models as virtual tables. Then we use the data to train it, or if it is pre-trained model, then it may not require training. At the end, once we have our model and input data, we can join it to make predictions and forecasts and feed it to applications or other developer tools. This is just another look on the architecture. We've got MindsDB connects to data sources, AI engines, and can be integrated into your applications like AI assistants, chatbots, or forecasting apps, or more. You can find more use cases in our documentation. So how to get started with MindsDB? Well, at the moment, we encourage you to install MindsDB locally via pip or Docker. We are an open source project, so you can go to our GitHub and install MindsDB locally. Soon there will be a cloud version at the moment, we are upgrading our cloud version. So there is a sign up waiting list where you can sign up, and this cloud version enables you to use MindsDB without any local installation requirement. Now, how to interact with MindsDB? Well, so you can interact with MindsDB using SQL, which is the big part of how MindsDB started, by enhancing SQL. If you would like, you can connect MindsDB to third-party database clients and interact with MindsDB from there via custom SQL queries provided. Also, MindsDB can connect to Mongo, Compass, and Shell, and therefore we provide syntax for we provide Mongo API, so you can interact. You can do the same operations you do in SQL, you can do in MongoQL. Also, to make it easier to integrate MindsDB into applications, we provide REST API endpoints, so you can use it to interact with all MindsDB objects as well. And also, we provide SDKs, at the moment JavaScript and Python, so we can interact with MindsDB directly from JavaScript or Python code. Okay, so it's time to move on to the demo. In this demo, we are going to forecast expenditures. We have a historical data of expenditures spent on different categories, and we are going to make forecasts what will be the expenditures in the future based on historical data. So this is the MindsDB editor. Let me briefly introduce you to this editor before we start. So on the right-hand side, we've got a learning hub that contains different tutorials that you can follow. You can copy paste the codes and try it out in the MindsDB editor. On the left-hand side, we've got an object tree that lists all the objects, means all the databases you connected, all the created models. So here you can see that I've connected some Postgres database, I've connected my YouTube, MySQL, Slack, etc. Also, all the created models are within projects. So here I'm using the default MindsDB projects, and here are all the models I've deployed in MindsDB. Okay, so let's start the demo. We always start by getting our data ready. This is the important step in any AI projects. We use data to train model, we use data to make predictions, forecasts. So first thing, we connect our MySQL database. So to do that, we use a create database statement. Here I call the connection MySQL hist_x, means MySQL historical expenses. Then comes the custom part of this syntax. We provide the engine as MySQL and parameters which are specific for different database engine. In the case of MySQL, we require user, password, host, port, and database. These are the details for our sample database, which you can connect to and try it out yourself by following, here it is, this example from our Learning Hub. So let's connect the database. You can select the command or just click at the end of the semicolon and click run. Oh, I think I have already created this database. So let me try to select from it. So this is a standard select statement where I'm using the connection name dot table name. So here are the data. I limited the output to 3. So this is the data contained in the table. Let me show you the whole data. So it has data, expenditure data for different categories and for different months, starting in 1982 up to 2017 September, and the expenditure values. So this is our input data. Now we can move on to deploying our model. For this demo, we are going to use the Nix/TimeGPT model, which is one of the engine that can be used for time series forecast. So to use this Nix/TimeGPT AI framework within MindsDB, it is required to provide an API key. So this statement creates an engine. So we are using create ML engine statement. We give it a name as TimeGPT engine. From TimeGPT means that we are creating this engine from the TimeGPT handler, which is the raw implementation, raw integration of MindsDB with TimeGPT. So we are creating an engine from a handler, and we provide our API key that is required for this engine. So once we have that, which I've already created, we can move on to creating a time series model. So again, we use the create model statement, we give it a name, and then you can see the from clause here, which was not there before. So this from clause defines the data that will be used to train our time series model. So here we use data from our MySQL connection from the historical expenditures table. So next step is we define what we want to predict. So we predict expenditure. When we provided our training data, please note that the expenditure column must be present within our training data. As it is a time series model, we need to define a column by which we order the data, that is month column here. This could be either timestamp or date column. So here the column name is month, and we group by category. So for each category, there will be a separate track of making forecasts. Forecasts will be made separately for each of the groups, means for each distinct values from the category column. Then we define horizon 3, which means that we are going to make forecasts for the next 3 rows, which in this case is for the next 3 months, because the interval between data rows in the input data is 1 month. So we are making forecasts for the following 3 months. Finally, we use the TimeGPT engine, which we've created before. And by running this entire create model statement, you can create a model. As it takes a few minutes to get deployed, I've already done that. And now we can use the describe command, which shows that, as you can see, the model status is complete. And so we can go ahead and use it to make forecasts. So now we are making forecasts. We are joining our input data table. That is our input data table with the model. And here we are selecting from the model the month and expenditure. Note that we are using also the custom keyword, which is latest. So what it does is basically it informs the model that we want to make forecasts for the values of the month column that are greater than the latest value stored in our training data. So as you can see in our training data, the latest value that we store is 2017 September. So the forecast following these filtering conditions will be made from 2017 October until December for the 3 months. So let's check if that's the case. And here we are making forecasts for the food category. So these are the so-called batch predictions. And here you go for 2017 October, November, December. So if your training data would be until, say, January 2024, the forecast would be then made for February up to April of 2024. And the forecasted values are the following. So that's how easily you can make forecasts with MindsDB by providing input data, deploying a model, and then running a simple select statement. We could also have a look at what are the distinct categories available in our table and try to make forecasts for other category, for example, cafes. So let's change it to cafes and run it. So this will also make forecasts for the following 3 months from the point where our training data ends. So, okay, takes a bit of time. Okay, here you go. You can follow this entire tutorial in our Learning Hub, Forecasting Monthly Expenditures with TimeGPT. Access to all databases is available here. So before I finish, I wanted to let you know the available resources. So one of the resources is MindsDB documentations, which I mentioned multiple times throughout my presentation. So it's at docs.mindsdb.com, where you can find all instructions on how to use and troubleshoot MindsDB. We also have Slack community, where users can interact with the core MindsDB team. So that's the place where you can ask questions, share your feedback, which is very much appreciated. And finally, our GitHub repository, which is github.com/mindsdb/mindsdb. This is the place where you can contribute also to MindsDB by solving open issues or creating new issues. Also, that's the place where you can get the code and install MindsDB locally. That is all from me. Thank you very much. Back to you, Federico.
Thank you, Martina. I won't steal a lot of your time, people. I will only show you my last slide, which is about what we're doing with MindsDB. Basically, we are maintaining their MySQL integration. We made some simple enhancement, like it is now possible to connect specifying the user instead, a URL instead of separate data like host name, port, and so on. Port is now optional if you use the default port. And you can also specify a query timeout, which is useful in case you have specified a low timeout on the MySQL server, and then MindsDB queries are not fast enough. Or the opposite, maybe they are fast enough, but just to be sure, you want to specify a timeout so that they won't take a lot of time in any case. There are also some articles that are going to appear on our website. One was already written by Richard.
I think if you want to show something, you need to share your screen because I can't see your slides.
Oh, well, actually, thank you, Stacy, for saying that. It's kind of too late because actually this was the last thing I wanted to say, but anyway, I'm going to do it anyway, just in case someone was curious. Okay. I hope you see now, and this is the slide you missed. Yeah, this is the small addition that we made to the MySQL integration. So that's all for me. Stacy, do you want to say something?
I would encourage people listening to us to ask you questions, and probably they have some specific situations where prediction would work, and they could ask you about them. Any questions so far? Okay. There is a question, is there an open source version of MindsDB?
I know there is, but maybe it's better if Martina answers.
Probably it's the question which asks about the features of the open source version?
Yes. So as I mentioned, there is an open source version of MindsDB. When you go to github.com/MindsDB/MindsDB, this is our main repository where you can also find out how to install MindsDB locally and how to use it. If I can paste the link, I'll do it here. Yeah, there you go. Yes, back to you, Stacy. Federico.
I see a raised hand here, and probably we need to make this person a presenter. Probably it's for some reason not convenient for them to type a question. You can now talk. Shiva. Okay. I can't hear anything.
Questions? Okay.
I have basic level of MySQL, but to advance, what should I do? So it's about learning MySQL.
Yeah, it's not very related, but well, I suggest to use it if you're already a DBA and you will make more experience with it. If you don't have a chance to use it, maybe you can consider a course. We have courses, but they are more for teams, not for individuals.
Okay. I see another question. MindsDB is like Percona because Percona also integrated with MySQL. I think.
Well,
I think it's something Federica can cover.
Okay.
Well, not really. I mean, Percona has a fork of MySQL. So they take MySQL source code and they improve some areas of the, I mean, they improve the quality in some areas and they add some features. It's not very distant from original MySQL. It's still entirely compatible and very, very similar, but still a fork. MindsDB simply integrates to MySQL or to many other technologies, right?
That's right. And also one big thing I would mention is that MindsDB integrates AI into your database, which I haven't used Percona, but as far as I know, they provide like it's a database software support. So I'm not sure if they provide AI connection to their data, but what MindsDB does, what differentiates is that we provide AI on top of your database. And as for integrations with MySQL, we've got let me find you. We've got an integrations that Federico mentioned. They are maintaining. You can find it right here. I'm going to paste the link for FYI. So yes, so it's not the same.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the link to the integration. I think we missed one. I can see MindsDB will support database migrations.
Sorry.
I suppose they mean alter table, right? Maybe it's more for Martina.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I'm back. If MindsDB will support. database migrations. I am not sure if you could specify details of this question. And meanwhile, I'll say that what MindsDB does, it connects to your database and accesses the data. It doesn't store any copy of the data. It just accesses the data for the purpose of training the model or making predictions. But from within MindsDB, you can also create tables, update data, insert predictions, etc. But I'm not sure what you mean by migrations. It's like MindsDB is more used to bring data and AI together than to manipulate the data itself.
Yeah, probably it's better to clarify the question.
Yes, I can see that the clarification is Mongo to MindsDB migration. Well, yes, you can use Mongo from within MindsDB. So once you connect your Mongo, then MindsDB accesses your data from Mongo and can use it to train models. So you do not migrate the data, MindsDB accesses your data from there.
Was this the last one?
Yeah, for now it's the last one.
Cool.
Oh, I see another one coming. Are we required any scripting knowledge to learn MindsDB?
No, actually, you do not require that, as MindsDB provides APIs to interact with it, as I mentioned, via SQL, MongoQL, REST APIs, and SDKs such as JavaScript and Python. So whichever technology you feel most comfortable with, you can use it to leverage MindsDB and create AI-powered apps.
Okay. Do you want to wrap up the webinar, Stacy?
Yeah, I think I was just checking the questions section once again. So thanks everyone for your interest in our webinar. We are glad you were attending it, and thanks to Martina and Federico for making this event so great. As I have said previously, everyone will get access to all webinar materials. We will share the links in a separate email. And I also need to say that next month's Vettabase will host a webinar on Postgres, which is another technology of interest for us. And Chris Travers, our senior Postgres consultant, will explain tricky and counterintuitive situations with nulls in Postgres. If you work with multiple databases, please consider attending this event as well. So thanks again and goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you, everyone.